begin in Ethiopia, where the UN Security Council and the African Union Peace and Security Council members have been holding their annual consultative meeting. The main items on the agenda have been the conflicts in Somalia, South Sudan and the Lake Chad Basin. CGTN's Girum Chala has been following the outcomes of the high-level security meeting in the Ethiopian capital.
The meeting between the UN Security Council and its African counterpart, AU Peace and Security Council, has had sizable deliberations, first on the situation in South Sudan. Both the UN and AU agree South Sudanese parties have not played a constructive role thus far in making peace happen in the country. And so the Council have called on all parties to show a harmonized commitment for peace.
All the parties to the conflict in South Sudan, the South Sudanese themselves, have to commit to a ceasefire and come back to the table to continue the 2015 peace agreements.
Peace in Somalia and terrorism in the Sahel region were two other important topics for these members of the two councils to talk about. The UN admits a lack of proper funding for AMISOM has discouraged Africa. In the same token, inadequate global support for the fight against terrorism goes for the situation in the Lake Chad region.
In terms of the predictability of the funding, the sustainability of the funding, there is a major problem. Therefore, as I said, the disappointment is very, very great, very enormous. This is something that we'll continue to handle. This again applies to the Lake Chad region as well.
So, one of the most concrete decisions of this meeting was the joint call for the international community to fund peacekeeping efforts in Somalia and the fight against terrorism in the Lake Chad region.
We are calling for predictable and flexible funding, which would be sought from the assessed contributions of the UN. Of course, as I said, one country was not in agreement with that, but generally there was an appreciation that that would go a long way in assisting the operations of the AU and the AU in the form of AMISOM in Somalia and the multinational task force in the Lake Chad Basin.
It's said that most of the agenda items on the tables of the UN Security Council members in New York is based on the conflict situation in Africa. And that is why many say the joint and collaborative efforts exerted between the two councils is absolutely important in making peace happen in Africa as well as the world. Girum Chala, CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.